What the frick?
Oh yeah, baby. Hold on, let me see if I can real quick, let me get a window capture going real quick. Okay, that that scared the devils out of me. I got really scared for a moment because I was like, oh no, what if this grabs the wrong window? I don't think I have anything. I don't think I have anything scary open. Hold on. Life is so beautiful. 5 stars. Yeah, baby. You make her do a little dance. Look at her go. Life is so beautiful. Okay. That's Bell Simulator. I love Bell Simulator. So okay, so I fucked with some of my audio options, so hopefully my levels aren't totally fucked. I also have a pop filter now. Okay, well, the mic came with a pop filter, but it like basically did nothing, and I found my actual pop filter. So hopefully we're sounds so crisp. Oh, excellent. Excellent. Yes. Yes. Um if like my levels sound bad or something sounds off, do let me know. I will appreciate it wholeheartedly. Okay, do I have okay, cool. I have everything set up here. Oh wait, and look at that. I can unmute my hold on. Ah! Sorry. Acts like a scared little animal while trying to trying to make my audio be good. Oh wait, I didn't post on Twitter or fucking anywhere. Hold on. give me a second. Let me let me cover my plight. Ski whoa! Hi T John. Ski whoa! I just punched my fucking microphone. I'm so sorry. I promise. I promise we'll be playing the game soon. I pinky promise. Okay. Okay. I think we're good now. I think we're chilling. Ski whoa. Ski whoa. Also, I forgot to grab more beverage before this, so I'll probably at some point have to go get liquid sustenance. I'm trying my best not to just full on burp into the microphone doing a fucking Rick and Morty impression. I have only hold on. Okay, real quick. I have only ever watched a single episode of Rick and Morty, and it's it's because I was at this very lovely woman's house, and we were having dinner together, and that was it. Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty, Rick, 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 Rick. Excellent. Yeah. I have a singular Rick and Morty episode under my belt. My I have non-zero experience with Rick and Morty. Now's the hard part where I fumble for like 5 to 10 minutes trying to remember how to do all the voices, and then I'm like I psych myself out like, oh, I gotta read a thing. All right. I just have to shut up and do it. I just have to shut up and do it and be brave. I forgot to say, by the way, thank you for coming, everyone. I hope everyone is having a nice day. I'm giving you all a little kiss on the forehead, and I'm wearing lipstick, so it like leaves like a funny mark there, and you have to like explain to your mom like, oh, Sorry, I'm feeling crazy. I like got back home. I got a new haircut, and I feel great. And I cannot form a coherent sentence right now. Gio sat beside a sleeping Ayane at a shared desk. See what I was saying about not being able to read for like 5 or 10 minutes? Gio sat beside a sleeping Ayane at a shared desk. Today's lesson more hands-on than the lectures Gio had been getting used to. While her memories of how it actually felt to be in school were a distant haze at this point in life, this atmosphere felt all too familiar. Except, of course, for the gun laying in pieces in front of her. The class was part of a series of lessons on basic infantry combat in case of emergency. Alongside the firearm she had yet to be issued, her Dragoon cockpit was meant to contain a personal defense weapon. Regardless of their absence, today she was learning how to disassemble and maintain them. Though it was only a practice gun that couldn't actually fire, it was still unnerving to touch. Nobody besides Gio was paying attention. The instructor simply told the students where to collect the mock weapons, handed out manuals, and returned to his desk. Groups of students sat on tables, chatting freely, and 2 boys in the corner of the room were pretending to shoot each other with their weapons as they laughed. I'm gonna head out, but remember. What do you want me to remember, Tej? Remember the Alamore and the orb. Thank you, T-Jud. See you around, T-Jud. Thanks for stopping by. There was something about the all-too-light gun she ran her hands over that was more frightening than even her Dragoon. All personnel that ventured into space were given some basic understanding of firearms. Every mining or repair ship Gio had ever spent any time on had maintained a small armory in case soldiers of the Duchy ever came aboard. This was not a realistic concern, but even so, no one wanted to venture into no man's land during an active war empty-handed. Some of her work orientations over the years came with a short firearms course. She'd held a gun before and been told how to fire it, but she never really understood guns or the differences between guns. But now that the GI had planned an encyclopedia of armaments in her head, she knew exactly what this thing was and what it was for. A gun like this, categorized as a PDW, was constructed with a certain set of requirements. It was small enough for a crewman like Gio to take inside a vehicle, light enough to carry without interfering with their duties, capable of rapid automatic fire, and fired bottlenecked and munitions capable of penetrating any kind of body armor at close range. It was a desperate kind of weapon for spraying bullets down a ship corridor to kill an invading soldier. A specific weapon for a specific need to kill a specific person. The armies of today fielded an endless array of weapons and munitions for every time, place, user, and target, a different bullet constructed for every name. There was something about this specificity that made the gun before her feel even more disconcerting. Before she'd even held it, someone had imagined the scenario she was going to use it in and built it to those exact specifications. What statistics about the deaths or kill rate of people like her went into its development? All weapons of war were designed to kill. That much was obvious. But seeing up close just how well oiled and exacting in its demand the machine had become was miserable to witness. Watching her classmates laughing and playing as they held these toy weapons made her blood run hot. Even though she had pulled it apart so thoroughly, she knew without a doubt there were no bullets inside of it, and they could not be fired even if there were. Every time she so much as given a nudge, she visualized the sharp bang and the splatter of blood across the wall from whoever was unfortunate enough to stand in front of the barrel. Guns were so terrifying that even this facsimile felt dangerous to her. And Gio understood, with terrible certainty, that the soldiers around her would play with the real thing just as freely. As Gio looked around the classroom, she began to notice something odd. These classes were mixed between divisions, and the soldiers she recognized as belonging to her own all stood out in how they behaved. They were either working quietly like her, ignoring the task like Ayane, or just staring at their weapon without touching it. There were certainly gung-ho members of her base, but today even they seemed dulled. Some were laughing along with the other classmates, but they mostly fell into the category of those who were approaching the task in silence. The empty holster she'd been given, the talk about guns being off limits. Ch.4 had just been assuming this whole time that whatever it was about, some change in policies or new rules was something that applied to every pilot. She had arrived in the middle of something, and no one had told her anything about it, just as no one had been told anything about what had happened to her. Ch.4 slumped over her desk, closing the manual. For all the flashy points on its effectiveness, if it ever came to having to actually use this gun, things would be bad enough that she'd probably be dead anyway. Ch.4 and Ayane trudged out of the classroom, yawning in unison. Free at last, Ayane cheered weakly, though she couldn't help grimacing at the bright roof lights. Not for me, Ch.4 moped. I've still got another flight this afternoon. As they approached the long pathway out of the campus, Ch.4 tilted her head at the small crowd ahead of them out of uniform. Getting closer, she saw signs and decorations were strung up on the fences, and a row of folding chairs and tables had been laid out. The civilians were almost all elderly, dressed in vibrant floral patterns and calling out cheerfully to the soldiers leaving the base. A small group of military police stood chatting with one another nearby, their bored faces telling Ch.4 this was some kind of routine event. I forgot to say, by the way, that I'm so enthralled with the sort of like descriptions of from Ch.4's point of view. Oh, hi, Shy Pie, welcome. Thank you for the follow. I hope you are doing well today. Yeah, I'm like all about how like these bits of weaponry are like described, and how surrounded by death these pieces of equipment are that are by some people treated like toys, you know? It's meaty. Oh, it's meaty. Biting into it with my teeth. Where was I? Oh, yes. Ch.4 could tell it was some kind of charity, but couldn't tell what it was for. Was that notification will be mine sound? Yes! Yes, that it was. Yeah. You recognize it. Yes. I have a few Heaven Will Be Mine sounds. I do need to, that reminds me, I do need to at some point change the volume of my raid sound effect because it was very loud. I mean, I should have done it before stream, but like, don't worry about it if you get jump scared. That anyways, that way. Oh, I feel like I heard about that one a while ago. I might wanna take a peek at that one. The soldiers ahead of her gave polite waves and passed by for the most part, which Ch.4 found unusually civil for them. An old woman approached Ch.4 and Ayane, a box of paper sachets in her hand. Oh, you two! You're both so pretty. Would you like to buy a seed bag? I'll buy anything from someone that calls me pretty, Ayane laughed, already taking out her wallet. The woman leant closer to Ch.4, noticing her confusion. They're lilac seeds. Gio took the decorated bag from her hand, examining it to try and figure out its meaning. These flowers here are irreplaceable, so we preserve them. It's good luck to carry them with you, the old woman explained to her. We can't recreate them if they're all gone, so it's important for everyone to keep some safe, don't you think? Yeah. Gio cautiously took out some change, looking to Ayane for approval. Ayane gave her a small smile that said, just go along with it. These flowers are our lifeblood, the woman continued. It's good for your luck to look after them. Here, Gio placed a note in the donation box, taking a sachet. And keep the change, Ayane said with a smile, pulling away Gio by the arm before she could get dragged into more conversation. Oh, so generous. Thank you so much. It's our pleasure. Ayane waved goodbye, with Gio following beside her. You were very generous, Gio noted, examining her seed packet. Don't say it like that. I'm not so cruel I'd tell a poor old lady to piss off. Okay, I totally am. You're meant to say I've got a heart of gold and all that, though. Of course. So what's the plan? We hang around here until your flight? Sure. I haven't seen much of this. Wow. Okay. As I said, it's gonna take me a little bit. It's gonna take me a little bit. Sure. I haven't seen much of the place. The 3D backgrounds are so fucking cool. The suburb of Trench, which Gio learnt was named after a General Trench who died some 50 years ago from a statue by the train station, was yet another world apart from the tightly woven maze of the Special Division's barracks and surrounding areas. It was open and simple, but at the same time so lacking a distinction from one building to the next and so ill-defined in its waymarks that it was impossible for Gio to get a read on where she stood. She was familiar with the route to and from the train station, but had no idea now how she would find her way back to it. Sorry, I just noticed I'm getting notifications from porn bots, and I think it's because my tweet had the word streaming in it. These internet women are all about twitching and streaming. So, wow, so beautiful. In zero-gravity ships, maps were posted up everywhere, with labels and hallways and bulkheads telling you exactly where you were. So long as you could understand the diagram of a ship, you could find your way anywhere. The concept of a street name, or even a street, or the distinction between a court, boulevard, or road was all completely new to her. She'd been watching suburbs like this all her life. Every popular show to come out of the Zephyranthes was set in a place like this. To everyone in the fringes, this was the dream. Everyone wanted a home, a picket fence, to spend some time with their family and watch their kids play in the backyard with the family dog. But being here now, it felt like she'd stepped through the lens of the camera and right onto an empty set. Gio jumped backwards as a car rolled its way past her at a mild 20-something kilometers per hour. Ayane laughed, placing a hand on her shoulder. It's not like we're on the highway. I don't know how you're used to this, Gio grumbled. She knew cars were an everyday thing here, but having them pass by felt like standing next to unsecured machinery. You aren't scared of trains, Ayane observed. They're on rails. People in cars can just hit you. Have a little faith in your fellow man. Ayane laughed before rubbing her neck in disgust. Actually, I can't even joke about it. But hey, Ayane said, placing a fist to her chest with pride. At least people might be worried about getting in trouble if they hit someone in uniform. Yeah, sure, Gio sighed. Ayane grinned and let out a smug little laugh. Wouldn't mind living in an oppressive suburban sprawl if it's this expensive. if it's doused in pink, then sure. I will live in suburbia hell. Just give me the right coat of paint, baby. Anyway, Gio moved on. Is this place usually so quiet? Yeah. Guess I just realized now. You don't get much separation between business, residential, and industrial in the fringes, do you? Gio laughed wearily. Not at all. This is all residential, with laws to keep it residential. They all commute for work, so you won't see too many people during the day. I see. It felt like more than just that, though. Even if there were people around, it felt like this place was designed to keep them away from each other. The houses were luxurious, but its occupants were completely inscrutable behind the high walls surrounding each and every one of them. She saw glimpses of plants peeking over these walls, but wasn't a garden meant to be something you showed people? Through every small gap in the fences, she spotted doors bearing heavy-duty locks and the occasional not-so-hidden camera pointed at her. Even the streets Ayane and Gio walked through didn't feel like they were built for walking. Ugh, I'm a sicko about this. It really hammers it, like, as someone who's like lived in this kind of shitty place before, this really fucking like nails the like pure alienating feeling that these places have. Like, they're really not like what the fuck are you gonna do when you walk around a neighborhood? Like, great, I'm just gonna walk for a while, and then maybe I'll see people outside or something in these desolate lawns or what have you. You gotta love suburbia. Spotting a vending machine outside a convenience store, Ayane led Gio forward, her tail wagging with each step. Coffee! Ayane cheered, sticking a coin in the machine. There's plenty of actual coffee places around the station, Ishio protested. So what? Can is plenty good enough for me. Want one? Sure. Ayane hovered over a button, turning her head back to Gio briefly. Low sugar for you, I assume. Huh? Oh, yeah. Gio nodded, caught off guard by Ayane having remembered her tastes. You can drink black coffee straight, can't you? Gio shrugged, taking the can from Ayane. I don't prefer it, but I'll drink it. Such a refined palate. Gio stood beside Ayane, slowly sipping at the warm metal can she had given her. What to do? Ayane pondered. We could see a movie? Is there anything good on? Nope, never is. You know, I've got some good movies from the Duchy. They make some fucking killer stuff over there. Gio looked at her in all too familiar disbelief for a moment. Having contraband films is just another part of being a pilot, I take it. You're starting to get it. Ayane laughed. But yeah, they get actual outdoor shots over there. Lilac films feel practically claustrophobic in comparison. Makes sense, I guess. I've always heard our animation is better, though. Yeah, it's where all the talent goes. Here's a fun fact. Most of what they watch in the Duchy gets animated here. Huh? How's that work? Gio asked. I don't know too much, but the gist of it is that they set up fake offices in Sunset, and they act as a middleman to contract to Lilac Studios for the animation. Then they take it back to the Duchy by saying the contractors worked from Sunset. Nothing wrong with paying a neutral party. Then we make our own versions of the shows with the Lilac voice acting and double the profit. For studios here, the money is way better than producing stuff for the domestic market, but it's kind of risky. I worked at a studio doing it, but I wasn't exactly in the loop for the whole thing. Gio's eyes lit up. Whoa, really? Before you wet yourself over it, I was just a gopher with no creative input whatsoever. I can't draw either. People don't like to associate with studios like that, so it was easy to get in doing menial work. I was hoping to springboard into a job working in film somehow, but you can see how that all turned out. Oh, I'm sorry. There are a few people who got to visit Sunset on business trips, but I wasn't important enough. Always bummed I missed out on that. Yeah, I've always wanted to see it. I was more interested in the locals. The locals? Ayane clenched her fists in bitter sorrow. I want to fuck a centaur so bad. That's what you're after, Gio said. If I never get to suck a centaur girl off, I might as well kill myself on the spot. Ayane, here's my new dream when we get out of the military. I'm gonna buy up a porn studio in Sunset and live in a mansion with all the sexy centaur girls. Ayane, you can live with me. I'll let you fuck them on the weekends. Ayane! Ayane laughed at Gio's look of shock. Come on, this is a beautiful moment of sisterly bonding. You're finally close enough to know what a disgusting girl I am. Yeah, sure, Gio sighed, rubbing her face. Well, it's not like I'm any less disgusting. You know, one of the duchy princesses is a centaur. I'm kind of in love with her. A lilac soldier in love with the enemy princess. Let me guess. You read the fan accounts for her? Gio realized. I do. Princess Elise. She's pretty popular among a certain crowd. She's beautiful and quite well hung. Gio covered her face. Ayane. Well, you have to assume. There's a pretty sizable population of them over there in the duchy. If we start sabotaging the war effort now, we could be under occupation in our lifetime, Ayane said, her eyes gleaming. Then we could become collaborators and sell at our countrymen, work our way up. Maybe there's some centaurs in the duchy secret police. And then we get into the princess's bedchambers from there, Gio deadpanned. If we're lucky, Ayane beamed. If we're lucky, Gio repeated. Fuck. Fucking gets me every fucking time. Are you Ayane? Ayane just going off the rails, complete pervert mode, with her centaur girl chaser fantasy. I had to take a sip of coffee after that one. Oh, anywho. Really though, if we're fantasizing about running away, Sunset was something I thought about a lot. It was easier to imagine finding a way to migrate there than ever getting a permit to live here. They don't discriminate so long as you have the money. But Gio laughed, pulling at the hem of her sleeve. You can see how that all turned out. Ayane laughed too. Doesn't life suck? Sunset wasn't a place she knew all that much about aside from the images of beaches and olive trees. The animal-eared humans of the present were found in the lilac and duchy, and the animal-bodied creatures had always lived in a neutral space colony between the two. They had trade relations with the lilac, but lacked the adaptation to zero gravity held by the two-legged members of humanity, making travel a one-way affair and Ayane's questionable sexual fantasies quite difficult to fulfill. Of the two places she wanted to end up, Gio felt like here was certainly proving itself the lesser of the two. Nothing would be like it was on TV for either of them, but at least Sunset had kept itself out of the war. Ayane tossed her empty can into a recycling bin. In any case, none of this answers the question of what to do. I'd rather be here than the barracks. Excuse me. And I'd rather be in the city than here. But if we go to the city, we won't get back to the barracks on time. Every day on this job is having just enough time to do nothing and not enough time to do anything. You should put that on a mug. Really, though. I think I was here like 3 days when it sunk in how every day is the fucking same here. All I ever do is kill time. I think about it a lot. That I ought to be doing more with my life if I could be shot down whenever. I've got the money and enough free time to basically be doing whatever. I always say stuff to myself like, I should take a painting class or something. But it doesn't feel like I'll be thinking about that when I'm bleeding out. Gio started. Sorry, I'm just being depressing. Forget it. No, I can't promise I'll be able to protect you, but Susie says I'll be a good pilot and I have a good score and all that, so... Ayane smiled down at her. You're such a good kid. I'm serious. I know, and I'm happy for you to cover me, like I said when we met, but... Ayane clapped a hand on Gio's shoulder. Let's save the human shield stuff for the people we don't like, okay? All of our assignments are with other squadrons, Ayane said, raising a finger. So, all we have to do is hang back, keep our guard up, and let them do all the work, and we'll be okay. I don't want you rushing in front of me. Or at all, really. Plenty of other pilots will volunteer for that stuff. And yeah, they get killed. There wasn't anything illogical about it. The anti-rain field was incredibly difficult to deal with from a distance, especially in a situation where a pilot is aware of the enemy positions. If she just sat back at a safe distance, most anything that hit her would bounce right off. Up close, the shields of Dragoons had no way to differentiate between friend or foe, and there was nothing to protect them from an incoming sword but the pilot's reflexes. Gio was more than capable of fighting in those risky hand-to-hand engagements, but instead, Susie and Ayane both told her to hang back. On one hand, she was grateful to be in a squadron that valued survival over everything else, but the thought of watching Susie or Shima die in her place felt like a vice around her heart. If one of them were to die, Gio felt it should be her. Rehearse these words. I'll cover you. I'll guard the rear. Or, I'll take the flank, and you'll avoid a pointless death. Not that I don't appreciate it. But I don't want to see you die either. Really. Yeah, Gio stammered. Sorry. And, if you wanted to do something like take a class, I'd come with you. I'd want to come with you, I mean. Ayane grinned. Aw, shucks. Maybe I could brush up on my sewing machine skills. You sew? Yeah. I used to do cosplay stuff as a teen. Oh, I want to see. Someday. So, anyway, what do you think about this place? Ayane asked. Gio contemplated for a moment. What did she think of this place? Ayane had told her this morning she wanted to hear her complaints, and frankly, she had nothing but them for this place. It feels kind of cold, Gio said quietly. Looking around, it didn't feel like an inviting or joyful place. Everyone has these high concrete fences. I haven't really seen any other people. It just feels kind of closed off? I don't know. Yeah? Ayane looked around. I always sort of thought being here where people had all their needs met, people would be happy and talk to each other. Oh, I always sort of thought being here where people had all their needs met, people would be happy and talk to each other. Gio wrung her hands together. But maybe that's me being naive. I once heard someone say people in the Zephyranthes don't trust each other like we do in the Fringes, and I didn't really get what that meant. I didn't trust anyone, but, you know, even if I didn't like them or talk to them much, you still sort of knew everyone around you. There are always people like... There's this old lady, Miss Koskinen. She lost her hand and couldn't find any work. She didn't have any family to look after her either. She'd make little art pieces out of wire and bits of metal, like little animals and stuff. I never really had a full conversation with her, but when I was out in space, if I saw something I thought she could use, I'd take it back for her. A lot of people I worked with did things like that. No one really wanted what she was selling. I didn't have anywhere I could even put stuff like that. But people gave her money for them, or gave her things she could use for her art. She'd teach kids how to make stuff if they asked. She was always getting sick. If she couldn't sell anything, people would bring her food, or there was a doctor that would check in on her. It wasn't like she was some community leader or something, and no one really liked getting stuck in conversations with her, but no one wanted to see her suffering. Everyone stole from each other, but no one stole from her. That kind of thing. I didn't really like her. She was kind of pushy and annoying. But I liked seeing her, and I felt glad she wasn't lonely or starving. The ladies selling these flower seeds kind of remind me of her, but none of them looked sick, Gio noted. I haven't seen anything like that here. No one starves here, but it doesn't feel like people would give each other their food. I haven't seen anyone so much as wave hello to each other. I mean, I look around and I just see cops and soldiers. I feel scared of thinking being here without a uniform on, honestly. Gio laughed a little. Country rabbit and city rabbit, huh? Ayane mused. I really don't get any of your sayings, Gio sighed. Ayane smirked. I just read a lot of old books. Really? No one ever believes I actually read books. Ayane laughed. But yeah, you're spot on. I grew up in a house like these. I never learnt my neighbors' names, not even once. These suburbs are all the same. And all you see are cops, because that's how people like it here. If they see strangers walking around, they must be up to no good. Same goes for soldiers. Though here we are, walking around, up to no good. Ayane giggled. Gio disagreed. Sure. Here's an idea. Wanna go to a little restaurant I like? It's a fair hike from here, though. I don't mind. Sure. We'll work up an appetite on the way. After a long march through the indistinguishable winding streets and a short ride on a tram, Ayane led Gio upwards through the superstructure built up around the wall of the ship compartment, overlooking the suburb, appropriately referred to as shelves. It was obvious at a glance they were the lowest class areas in these suburbs. Every door and window was tightly packed together, and bicycles and mopeds replaced the cars seen outside the houses below. It was a similar kind of environment to the locales wedged into the ship around the barracks she'd been frequenting, but far more residential. Gio looked down over the suburb below her. The houses were all fairly small, but it was from here that their meaning really struck her. These people were incredibly wealthy, far more than she had already thought from up close. It wasn't just paying for a place to live, it was paying for the emptiness around it too. It was having a sky above their heads, even one as indistinct as the distant lighting panels. The sparseness that she found eerie was their luxury. These people had wealth, and all they sought to use it for was to insulate themselves further from each other. It was so wasteful. It was sickening. Entire communities of people could fit in all this empty space if anything had been built for them. This awful ship had room for her to live this entire time. Exhaling before her thoughts turned even uglier, Gio gazed up at the expanses of panels above them. The sky was a hazy white. There was a sort of mist in the far distance she wasn't sure of the nature of, but figured it was an ordinary part of the scenery here. That she was unable to see the walls of the ship was fairly obviously the desired effect. Say, I've been meaning to ask, does it rain here? Gio asked. Sure does. No one would bother Sure does. No one would bother watering all these plants themselves, Ayane mused. I'm not sure when we'll be able to see it. People put up noses when they think it's going to happen. Wait, they don't just know? Gio was puzzled. Ah, yeah. Guess you don't know. It's all a total black box. I don't think anyone has really figured out where the weather is even controlled from. I guess when they built all this, they figured it would be best if no one could control the weather. And as the names of our calendars may suggest, they made the right call. Be a short war if they could just turn the heating off and freeze us all to death. Gio looked up at the distant ceiling panels. Yeah. Though it's kind of scary, no one knows how it works. Kind of is, yeah. Rains for a week straight sometimes. I think it's probably a little broken down. That seems, bad. It's fine, Ayane offered without much reassurance. The dwellers of the Zephyranthes rejected the mysticism of the duchy with utmost fervor, but this inscrutable technology of the ship might as well be the same thing. This character's aesthetic is... Yeah, I really love the character designs in this game a lot. And I love the overall color palette usage a lot. It is a super stylistically strong game, I feel. Like it's just got the flavor, you know? Like it has its flavor. All fucking sorted out. It's really nice. Even I know the saying about that one. Anyway, I'm guessing you want to see the rain, jump in puddles and all that. What's wrong with that? Come on, there should be a notice board around here somewhere. I don't really get the science of it, but people have kind of figured out the patterns. I still don't get it, though. Why is this handled at such a low level? That question is a landmine. Ayane smugly smiled. It's all stupid politics, like everything else. In the good old days, when we all lived on God's green earth or whatever other planet, weather forecasts were sometimes wrong, but who is to blame? You could own land, but you couldn't own the world itself. No one could say they own the weather or were responsible for it. But here, they really do own the world and the weather. But if they want to keep up the idea that they own it, they can't say they don't know how it works. Therefore, it saves face for them to just say any and all function of the weather system was built as a classified system and remains classified. Even if everyone knows it's a lie, plausible deniability always holds up in the bigger picture. Gio rubbed her forehead. God, this world is stupid. Dumbest there ever was, Ayane agreed. You should buy an umbrella while you can, come to think of it. You can get them with little bunny ears on top. Gio pictured it in her head. Yes, I need that. Notice board, notice board. Ayane examined the wide corkboard they found by an elevator. Oh, goodness me. Let's see. Pig sale, yard sale, garage sales, car for sale, coupons, more coupons. Due for pizza, that looks good. What do we need coupons for? Money mindset. Ayane tapped her head. Real hustlers save every dollar they can. Gio rolled her eyes. Really, though. Force a habit. You're the same, aren't you? I'm rich, but I certainly don't feel rich. When you put it like that, yeah. Gio moved from paper to paper across the board. While there wasn't a notice about the rain like she was looking for, it was a window into the lives of the people that lived here. It stung a little, seeing the jobs for teenagers being things as innocent as pizza delivery. These kinds of boards were the same as the ones in the commons area on ships back home. It was a little surprising, but she supposed it was the same everywhere. Digital connection was all-encompassing, but it was all too granular. Every attempt to get people together just resulted in arguments over which service to use. A notice board was a notice board. Looking further, her eyes fixed on a sloppily printed notice stamped with the emblem of the Lilac Fleet. Say hello to your new family. In the Lilac Navy, your comrades in arms are like your brothers and sisters. You will train together, eat together, and work together. No soldier ever fights alone. As you serve, you will find the people around you have become like family to you. These unshakable bonds will last you a lifetime. Are you ready to step into a new life? It will last you a lifetime, as in you will be there until you die, maybe. Gio clenched her teeth. What fucking family? How can they write stuff like that? Gio spat. Let's see. Ayane leant over her. Yuck. Without skipping a beat, Ayane yanked the flyer off the wall. Ayane? Gio lurched to left and right to make sure they weren't spotted. What's gonna happen? Ayane laughed. Think anyone that outranks us is just out for a stroll? Do you know how to fold a paper airplane? Ayane asked, examining the paper. Huh? No, I don't. Watch closely then. Ta-da! Just like that. I couldn't follow that at all. And now, good riddance to bad rubbish. She tossed the paper plane over the railing, and Gio's eyes followed it as it trailed off into the world below. Ayane turned back to her, grinning and making a V sign. Gio stood dumbstruck. Ayane knew what those words meant to her, why that little piece of paper bothered her so much, and her short-lived pain had flown away with it. God, it's so fucking good. Symbolism, themes, flavors. Yummy in my tummy. Very good. Very good scene. Big thumb up from me. Curry! Fuck. Fuck, now I want curry. Oh. My brain is plagued with curry. I feel like curry is one of those things that I could eat like basically whenever. I fucking love curry. I love curry so much. Like if I had to pick one, like, okay, if you like you point a gun at me, you like ask me what, like I have to eat one food for the rest of my life, I would say curry. I love curry. Having finally reached their destination, a woman offered a cheerful greeting as they entered the restaurant, and Ayane responded with a familiar wave. Gio shyly waved back, falling behind Ayane as she led her to a booth in the far corner. You've brought a friend today? The woman smiled at Ayane, laying out a pair of menus on the table. She's my new junior. I'm treating her to lunch, Ayane bragged. I didn't think you were such a good girl. Let me know when you're ready to order. Gio gave the waitress an awkward smile, placing her school bag under the table. It was a small, cheap-looking place, but had a warm and homey feeling to it, much more relaxed than the fast food places Ayane had been taking her to. Looking behind the counter, she could see a man working in the kitchen. A staircase told her it was a business run by the family living upstairs. She had heard a few people over the years talk about wanting to move here and set up a business just like it. Before she could look at it, Ayane placed her hand over Gio's menu. I'll pick something for you. Don't worry yourself. Even I can figure you don't get many meals with rice or sauce in 0G. You've really been missing out. Yeah, I'll trust your selection. Ayane leaned back in her seat, smiling softly. I love this place. It is nice and quiet, Gio sighed, resting her chin in her hands. Do you like iced tea? Fuck, Dude, I want iced tea! Dude, I want iced tea! Sure. I'll get us a jug of it. After some short deliberation over the menu, Ayane waved over the waitress. Chicken vindaloo for you? The waitress asked Ayane. You know me. Ayane grinned. Plus some garlic naan. Oh, now I want some naan. Pork or chicken? Ayane shot the question to Gio. Chicken? Gio replied. Could I also get a mild chicken katsu for my friend? Dude, I want chicken katsu! Oh, and a jug of iced tea. Sure thing, the waitress said, taking the menus with a smile. Ah! Food! Gio let out a small sigh of defeat. Ayane was right. She wouldn't have understood anything on this menu. This place does mostly Indian cuisine, but their main draw is that they do all kinds of international variants of curry. It's hard to find any as good as they make here, Ayane explained. When people say curry here, they usually mean the Japanese style. I guess you'd call it the lilac style now. But back on Earth, pretty much every country had their own way of making it. I like the Indian style, though a lot of what you get here is apparently more the British style that derived from it. But I have no clue if whether what I'm eating here is anything at all what it tasted like on Earth, in Britain, in India, or wherever else. The ingredients are all artificial. Our meat is grown in vats. Whether it tastes anything like it used to, I'd never know. Makes you think about how big the world used to be, huh? That makes me kind of sad. Sure does. But still, if it tastes nice, it tastes nice. Good food is enough reason to live. Yeah. So hey, what's the story with the, seed people? Gio asked, raising the bag of seeds she'd been fiddling with since she was given them. You want to know why I'm so nice to them? Ayane laughed at herself a little. You're a perceptive one, aren't you? They're kind of just a social group for old people. My aunt was one of them, so I used to tag along. Wow. Cute image, isn't it? Ayane laughed. That was such a good girl. Though, not really. I had my first kiss with some other girl whose parents dragged her along to it. Come to think of it. Could have been pretty bad if we got caught, huh? As for the group, they're just kind of weird and harmless. My aunt was sort of a spinster and liked having the company. She was kind of spiritual. All the flower people are. Really wasn't for me, but I like my aunt enough to come with her. They don't fall under the religion ban? Gio asked. Ayane shook her head. Shooked? Wow. Nah, they're not a cult or anything. I think they get away with a lot because of the lilac seed stuff. It's considered kind of patriotic. Or, well, better put, it would make the army look really bad if we had soldiers kick them out. They just kind of say they believe in luck, which everyone does, so yeah. Maybe more superstitious than religious. Ayane laughed. Soldiers are easy marks for lucky charms. As for where the money goes, it's nothing out of the ordinary. Community halls, sick kids, blah, 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 blah. Ayane explained with a wave of her hand. I see. Gio felt at the bag of seeds. Am I meant to plant these? Not until the world ends. I don't know if they'd even grow if you did. Just carrying them is meant to be lucky. I guess it's just like if you care for something important, it's good karma, you know? Do you believe in it? Not really. Doesn't hurt to try, though. I could use some good fortune, so I keep some in my cockpit. Shio paused. Was your aunt nice? Was, yeah. Natural causes, don't worry. She was sweet. She wanted kids. I didn't like being around my parents. Kind of a win-win for the both of us, you know? She kind of treated me like a princess, which was a little embarrassing, but I think she always knew I was sort of a bad kid, but she never treated me like it. She sounds really nice. Her and her friends would dote on me a lot. She always brought me whatever clothes I asked for. Ayane cringed. I asked for the most embarrassing shit. Don't know how many of them are still kicking. I heard you tell the difference between 70 or 90 when you're 14. The waitress arrived with a large tray full of plates and bowls, setting them down one by one in the center of the table. Gio smiled. Thank you. Thank me, I'm paying. Ayane sneered. Thanks, Gio sighed. Here, this one's for you. Ayane passed to Gio a shallow bowl of reddish-orange sauce she couldn't identify. Thanks. Go ahead, give it a taste. Ayane encouraged, grinning. Oh, she's so cute. What is this? Do you really do you really eat this? Gio coughed, her eyes watering. Ayane snickered and wagged her tail, swapping their plates. Of course I do. That's mine, actually. I just wanted to see her reaction. Very funny. Ayane pouted. Such a tone to take with a girl buying you lunch. Here, try this instead. You'll like it. Gio hesitated, glaring warily at Ayane. I won't trick you twice in a row. It's got crumbled chicken. You'll love it. Everyone loves crumb chicken. I'll try it, Gio huffed. It's really good. Told you. She's so cute. She's so baby. She's so baby. You're okay eating that? You really gotta get used to proper food. Ayane sighed, tearing off some bread. Not that I eat much proper food. I mean, I like hot food, so I guess I've built up a tolerance. Yeah, thanks for treating me. Really. It's no prob. You owe me, though. Besides, I gotta get you exposed to food better than the cafeterias, or what they serve at the academy. Sure. I'm glad to get out of there. Is it just always like it was today? In class? Either depressing or bullshit? Yeah. I should just get used to the atmosphere here. I'd heard the military was disorganized, but I never expected it to be like this. Especially here. So no one ever told you pilots were the worst of all of them? My image was, well, you know, special, chosen people. I guess I had an image of this place being a bit more prestigious, strict, like a school for gifted students, but it doesn't feel like anyone really cares what we do. You want officer school then? Plenty of ceremony and prestige over there. But that's not for the special. It's for the rich. Much more valuable. Gio leant against the table. Right. She wanted to ask about the division and guns, but something told her it was better not to. I'm glad to see you eating, Ayane said quietly. Yeah. Not to be a sap, but even if we weren't flying together, I can't ignore it, Ayane muttered. Thought I was being clever when I was a teenager, but people figure it out pretty quickly when you only wear long sleeves. You get what I'm saying? Gio nodded. So, I don't care if it's annoying. I'm gonna keep taking you out to eat. It's not annoying at all. When I was young, no one ever cared when I didn't eat. I didn't have any clear memories, but I just remember facts. Sentences like that. Gio gave a half smile. Besides, I can't turn down something you paid for. Good girl, Ayane smiled. You like tormenting me, don't you? Gio sighed, taking another spoonful. It's cuteness aggression. I don't know why it's hard for me to eat. I like all the food here. It's not like we're on holiday, though, as much as they dress it up. Like I said, I prefer eating out here. Yeah, and, I'm sorry about your, teens, Gio said fretfully. Ayane laughed. You really are cute. Gio pouted, focusing on her food. I don't mind being told to eat if it's from a friend. I probably need something like that, honestly. Usually Fufi tells me. Yeah. You know what she is for, right? I do, yeah. I miss her. Is she, like, even allowed to ditch you like that? I don't really get AI. It's not the first time it's happened. She just doesn't want to talk to me for a while. She really didn't want me to be a pilot, but I'd be in real trouble if I wasn't here too. AI isn't good at dealing with contradictions or compromises. I don't know what to say to her to make it better. She could stand to be a little more supportive, Ayane sighed. I think she's a lot more like a person than most AI, so it's hard for her. There's something about Ayane's face that seemed like she wanted to say more, but Gio couldn't bring herself to press further. Eating the rest of her meal, Gio felt a slight indignation at how correct Ayane was about the crumb chicken and how cafeteria food was such a low bar for a good meal. People really got to spend their whole lives eating dishes like this. I'm not really in a rush to leave. You? Ayane asked as she took out a cigarette. My flight isn't for a while. Are you allowed to smoke here? Sure we are. The waitress from before noticed Ayane, promptly bringing over an ashtray and taking their empty plates. Without either of them asking, she came back again with a fresh jug of iced tea. Red carpet treatment, eh? Ayane laughed quietly. I don't like it, Gio murmured, fiddling with her cigarette box. Seeing Ayane gave her the urge too. Ayane flicked her cigarette into the ashtray. You look uncomfortable. I know. Take me a while to get used to it. Just tip well and you'll feel less of an asshole. I guess. Gio put her cigarette in her mouth. You still smoke those flavored ones for babies, Ayane teased. Gio sighed. Babies don't smoke. You are a baby that smokes. Ayane reached across the table. Give me a try. Get your own, Gio whined. Ayane pawed at Gio's face. I'm getting it. Gio sighed, gave in, and passed it to her. Ayane took a drag, closing her eyes in contemplation. Gross. Gio reached over and plucked the pink-colored cigarette from her mouth. I like them. They're what I'm used to, I guess. I was kind of shocked you actually smoked. When we first met, I only really asked as a joke. I get that a lot. You are a baby that smokes. I really love like the thing that they have going on so much. I really love like the ways that like Ayane gives a shit about Gio, you know? Like it's just like nice. Like in her like oblong ways of like showing she cares. It's like it's really good. It's that they have I love the dynamic. Gio sat beside Ayane on the train back to the base. She didn't want to have to part ways, even though she knew they'd see each other tomorrow. The last few days had been marred with all sorts of painful experiences, but they were probably the most fulfilling of her life. She knew it wasn't a high bar. They were the ordinary kind of days, but that only added to their significance. She wanted to keep having these ordinary days together. She thought about that paper plane, wondering where it had landed. It was just a kind little gesture for Ayane, But Gio knew she would remember that image for the rest of her life. It didn't even feel possible to put into words just how much Ayane had begun to mean to her, and it had come as a total surprise to herself, too. She never imagined they would have any kind of chemistry together as friends, and wondered whether her idea of chemistry was more rooted in fiction than reality. Wibbleburger, it's your favorite. When I think about the kind of person I am, I always imagine as my ideal friend, it was always the same image. That kind of girl who was very naturally in touch with her inner child. Pure, innocent, freely and utterly herself. None of it's forced, roleplay, or a chosen image. The kind of girl that collects dolls and is still able to play with them from the heart. I was always agonizingly jealous of that kind of person, but I always wanted to get close to them, in the hope that their personality and way of being would rub off onto me. I wanted to be taught how to play. The second was a doting older sister or mother figure, for reasons that should be more or less obvious. I wanted someone who would look after me, fix me, give me permission to indulge in my childishness until I no longer had to force it out. I wanted to be taught how to feel loved. In essence, what I desired from a friend was the utterly selfish idea of someone who would turn me into their desired self by standing before them, a mirror to turn me into the person I wanted to be. I had no desire for anyone else's humanity, only an image. I wanted to be transformed by connection, but didn't know what connection was. What I thought was being held by someone I now understand to be handling. What I thought was love was just having a use to someone. When I'm around Ayane, I feel myself transforming in none of the ways I wanted. I become vulgar. I say curses instead of just thinking them. I smoke and drink freely. I think about sex. I wonder what her chest looks like. I make snide comebacks to her stupid comments in a way I never thought I was capable of. And I've never felt so warm in my life. I don't feel cute at all around her, but she's always saying it to me. She's always surprising me. She's incredibly tender, worldly, and sharp. I feel stupid for being fooled by her persona as a class clown. She isn't an idiot or a crook or a bully. I don't think I even have the words to categorize her anymore, which goes to show how little I understand other people and my lack of faith in them. I never expected her to be so savvy politically. Her background gets hazier the more we talk about it, and I can't understand what drove her here. I feel so fucking stupid for never even considering she'd be the type of person to cut herself. Coquette. Coquette Dragoon. That's Coquette, baby. I mean, it's not all of Coquette, but welcome in, Pamitha. I hope you're doing well today. So I like saw your message and I wanted to like get through that chunk before I like, uh, snapped out of my haze. Excuse me. But yeah, Coquette's really good. That bit really hits me over the hammer. Hits me over the head with the tested positive for Bovid. I tested. Okay, that's enough of that bit. I'm doing well. Coquette makes it better. Yippee! I'm glad you are doing well. Salute, soldier. Salute. And that's a wrap for Chapter 3. These are getting longer every time. They sure are. Chapter 3 was approaching 75,000 words, and it wasn't even done yet. Chapter 2, for comparison, was only just under 30,000. From these notes the producer gave me, the author split Chapter 3 in half, cutting here at the 40,000 word mark. What a busybody. Be grateful. This means more screen time for you and me. More time with Millie. Joy. You can't get enough of me. Let's talk about the story, shall we? Is it just me, or does Gio get more depressed by the second? I find her neuroticism charmingly relatable. I want to feed her milk. I want to put her out of her misery. Projecting much? I was surprised Yanni was wearing falsies this whole time. Kind of gives us flatties hope to know you can do that, though. Yes, what an inspiration. Wasn't the opening section with all that 3D animation cool? It was quite slick. Since when did we have a budget? We don't. Gio would have come across pretty cool piloting. She didn't definitely piss herself during the launch. She probably did, didn't she? I pissed myself too, I think. That's not something to brag about. I think that's a wrap for our show. Next time on Coquette Dragoon. Gio reaches new levels of despair, touches a rabbit, and rides a motor scooter too. Chapter 4. I want to choose happiness without hesitation. Thank you for reading. Yippee! Yahoo! Yippee! There's still more. It's, oh my god. I cannot believe that, like, so there is more, and I am going to start reading some chapter 4 today. But guys, volume 1's like almost done. Next, I believe the next big update that's coming to Coquette will be like the last of volume 1, which is like really exciting. It's been so fucking cool to like follow the development for this game. I'm like, it's so fucking exciting. Hold on, am I on the, hold on, I might be on the wrong oh wait. Hold on. Am I running the wrong version? Hold on, give me a second. I'd be so, wait. Guys, I think I opened up the wrong version of Coquette. Hold on, give me give me a moment and I can guys, give me a moment. Give me a moment. Ah, I forgot Bailey was there. I think that accurately describes how I'm feeling right now. Oh, okay, hold on. I promise. Hold on. I promise I'll get things better. Am I chat? Is she stupid? Is this the right? Hold on. Did I not? Hold on. Chat. She's stupid. Hold on. Give me a second. Where did I put it? Motherfucker. Hold on. Where did I up? Oh. I see what I did. Oh. Okay, yeah, I see what I did. Why did it order like that though? It's fine. It's fine. It ordered strangely in my folder. Okay. Okay, we're here. We're here. We're ready to return to Wibbleburger. Okay. Okay. We're back. We're back. Sniff, sniff. Look at that. Wow. Wow, more Coquette. Oh, guys, I'm getting scared. I keep seeing my mic go into the red section of my of my volume mixer, and I'm getting really scared. And my mic sounds bad. I do not know the limits of my mic yet, and I'm getting very scared. I hope it doesn't look bad. I hope it doesn't sound bad in the recording. Anyways, I'm gonna play a little bit of chapter 4. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna be playing, because I do have some more plans tonight. I do have some more plans. Oh, my neck feels horrible. What the fuck? Okay. Yeah, anyways, chapter 4. I want to choose happiness without hesitation. Sorry being a bit cool, because I gotta avoid salute soldier. Gio stood still, waiting for Susie by the hangar entrance. She wasn't in the locker rooms, and Gio figured it would be best to wait for her here. What would she say to her when she arrived, though? What Hill had learned about Gio had been passed along to her from Susie. She couldn't help but feel a little betrayed by that. I shouldn't think about it. It had only been a few hours since she had parted with Ayane, but it already felt like yesterday. The warmth of that little restaurant was so far away from this cold, industrial... Trying not to burp into the mic. my mouth is so far away from the microphone, so you don't get 360 degrees of burp. The warmth of that little restaurant was so far away from this cold, industrial hangar. Gio fished through her satchel for the pill case containing her assigned anti-vomiting medication. For pilots, the drug was mandatory before all flights. She examined the pill through the transparent casing for a moment. It was the same little orange capsule she had been taking as a teenager. Made for pilots and other soldiers, it was a heavily controlled substance for civilians and could kill if misused. Completely restricting the biological reactions of the human body was no small feat, convenient as it may be. For hull workers, while they weren't legally authorized to take them, they were shared freely between workers when it came to interior cleanups. When asked whether she would like one before being tasked with handling the remains of sailors killed in action, Gio agreed without hesitation. Ultimately, she hospitalized herself after continuing to use them during the week afterwards, as if repressing the reaction of her body would repress that of her mind. The damage done to her stomach and digestive system was something she could still feel traces of through periodic cramps and stabbing pains. It probably hadn't helped her appetite either. She stopped taking them altogether during her work, realizing at some point she had become desensitized to the sight, at least enough to not puke. During a dogfight, if a pilot vomited inside their helmet or all over their control surfaces and monitors, they would find themselves dead in no time. But was there even going to be an enemy out there? This was just a training flight. Gio's lifetime in Zero-G had completely dulled her to motion sickness too. She'd taken them the first time, since she was being watched, but now, just as she was putting them back in her bag, she heard the sounds of boots approaching behind her. Ah, Gio, there you are. Sorry I'm late. Susie laughed at herself. Oh, no, don't worry. It's okay. Susie smiled down at her. You're looking good. Huh? Gio was taken aback. Your suit. I love what you've done with it. Gio blushed. Oh, yeah. Is this really what we should be talking about? Let's get started, shall we? We're already a little behind. Right. She's so cute. I love Geo. Checkboxes lit up on the screen in front of Geo. Hatch seal, okay. Air pressurization, okay. Reactor primer, okay. She was once again embedded into the cockpit of her Dragoon, pushing at switches and scanning over readouts. Her hands shook. Anticipation? Dread? Excitement? The convoluted sequence Susie had performed before turning on the GI was now a fresh part of her memory. It never really struck her the first time how few people were inside the Dragoon hangar. Even the smallest ship launch required a team of inspectors. Every engine had to be tested and calibrated, every seal checked for leakage. But once she fired it up, her Dragoon could do all that by itself. The central nervous system knew better than any outward inspection. Just what was the GI really? A computer couldn't do any of this, and neither could she. And yet, the symbiosis was the perfect thinking fighting machine. It gave her the tools to wage an entire war by herself. Her hand hovered over the controls to begin the process. To turn the switch to power up the GI felt like voluntarily grabbing a live wire. It wasn't meant to be as bad as the first time, but the sense memory of the pain that racked her entire body was still fresh in her mind. It was going to hurt. It was going to hurt a lot. Her hand moved away from the GI switch to the satchel floating beside her. There was something she should probably do first, even if just to distract herself. Carefully poking around inside the bag, her fingertips latched onto a thin piece of laminated card. Geo slowly pulled out the packet of lilac seeds and held them up to the light of the monitor. She wasn't exactly superstitious herself, but after Ayane said she kept some of her seeds in her cockpit, it only felt right to do the same. If a person could be lucky or unlucky, where did Geo sit? Was it lucky or unlucky for her to end up as a pilot? If she was lucky, she wouldn't have to be here, and if she was unlucky, she wouldn't be here at all. She wound the thin cord of the seed packet around the base of the control stick, making sure it wouldn't catch on anything. It couldn't hurt to have some extra luck, or to be able to replant the seeds of civilization in a pinch. Are you ready to start? Susie's voice chimed in through the radio. Geo pressed the radio switch and murmured back a reluctant, "Uh-huh." Without the GI, she had to operate the radio manually, but the imprinted memory made the motion an automatic reflex. Don't worry, after a while there's no pain at all. Unable to form any kind of response in words, Geo raised her hand off the radio and turned the GI switch without hesitation. Connection stable. Welcome aboard, pilot. Data link established. Geo raised her legs, curling up into her seat. She felt like she'd been hit across the head. But just like before, it passed as quickly as it came. This machine was once again alive and inside her. She let out a shuddering exhale as she stretched her body back out. Agitation, flux, the taste of iron in her mouth. Raw, violent power in the knowledge that she was special because she was able to wield it. Entire textbooks of information became fresh memory once again. She gripped the control sticks, steadying her breath. The glow of the exterior monitor beamed down on her. It wasn't the warm kind of embrace she wanted, but it was an embrace. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. She began flipping switches and typing into the computer, running down the diagnostics printing out on the screen in front of her. Every engine was checked and analyzed in an instant. The floor reactor, more complex than an entire ship, was given a full diagnostic in under a second. She was too agitated to even fully notice it happening the first time. This time she could think as well as feel. The signal from flight control sounded with the order to start the reactor. All systems were green. As she flicked the reactor ignition, she thought again about how long it would all take manually. The reactor of a Dragoon could only operate with a GI, performing constant adjustments to prevent a meltdown. On a typical Lilac warship, the reactor was larger, cruder, and less efficient, and required an entire room-sized supercomputer bank just to monitor and adjust. In this machine, she was that computer bank, she supposed. She stared into the screen. Where did her body and mind begin and end right now? She could feel the reactor, but only abstractly, the way one was aware of their heart beating while it performed automatically. She didn't like the idea of sharing herself. This is a machine, and she was its pilot. Maybe this is why people name these things, to feel like they had control over them. She pulled open the Dragoon's configuration menu, looking at the blank section for name designation. Before we launch, is it alright if I give it a name? Geo asked. The Dragoon, I mean. You've decided? Go right ahead, Susie said warmly. This is Ensign Giomar Rosales, inputting call sign of Dragoon Unit F611. Geo raised her hands to her Dragoon's computer terminal. This machine's name was Coquette. Being inside of her made that feeling perfectly clear. Call sign confirmed. Submitting call sign to flight control. A brief pause. Call sign approved. Unit F611 will now be designated as Coquette. Geo's cheeks flushed. It just felt right to call it that. It's a good name. I felt the same with Strawberry. Now, let's get out there, shall we? Roger. Susie sighed. That habit of yours isn't going to change, is it? No, it probably isn't. Geo sighed back. I love the filtering effects here. Like the like way that the color kind of like dithers around like the lighting and how it dithers on like these edges here. It's really nice. It's a really cool effect. And I don't think I've said this about Coquette so far, but I really love all the like bits of like halftone that are used. I also think that's really cool. I am a big fan of halftone, and I feel like I want to use it more. I used it in like a recent piece, but I don't know. I feel like I just need to use it more. It's cool. I haven't figured out how to use it, but I don't know the way to figure out how to do something just by doing it, you know? This time, Geo read the launch elevator with open eyes. Her and Susie would be returning to that ocean of debris. The sensation of being catapulted out into space had already become routine. Her frenzied self felt almost embarrassing to look back on. How could this ever not be easy? Easy? Something pushed back against that thought as soon as it occurred. This was easy? Was that quite right? That emotional, desperate self, why did it feel like she still heard her distant voice? Oh, the brain stuff. Emotional correction. She had seen those words a few times during the boot sequence, and that, her mind told her, was as far as her thoughts should go on this. She gripped the controls tight and released a long breath. Nothing to get worked up about. I knew what this machine was from the start. I knew it was going to make me sick. I knew I'd resent it. And I knew I'd like it too. Pushing the throttle forward, Geo turned her mind to the sights in front of her. She was calm. Calmer than the first time. The world that whipped past her in the blink of an eye felt so vividly clear. This was the Lilac Fleet in its entirety. Her vision was sharper than it had ever been. In the same moment her gaze landed on a ship, the lens of the Dragoon zoomed in to give her a closer view. It was a small frigate, hovering above the Zephyranthes, not unlike the ships she'd lived on, but this one had remained a pure military vessel. A readout gave her the estimated specifications: armor placement, weaponry, crew count, top speed, and thrust to weight ratio. She'd been looking at ships her entire life, but this was a world apart from the dim, claustrophobic view through the visor of a worksuit or porthole. When she turned her camera towards the Zephyranthes, it was beyond calculation. It was a mundane fact of life now that she woke up every day inside of it, but it was still too large to really fit inside her head. How could anyone look at this and picture cities on the other side of those metal walls? Trees, schools, homes, entire suburbs. Were all those things really right beside her? She adjusted her pitch towards the hull, curiously drawing closer. Even with all their evolutionary compensation for life in space, the human eye was still unequipped to judge the scale of objects in a vacuum. The Zephyranthes was just a ship like any other if you were far enough away from it. Skimming across the surface like this, pink metal stretched in every direction into the horizon. Gun batteries, antennas, radio dishes, and other protrusions flickered in and out of Gio's sight as she blew past them. Her Dragoon speed was measured in meters per second, and even so, the sea of metal felt like it would never reach its end. Gio had yet to ride aboard it, but she had read once that the Zephyranthes' high-speed rail took around 4 hours to travel from end to end. Inside that colossus, there was reliable artificial gravity that had never once failed, complex weather systems, a scale large enough for highways to be built inside of it. For Gio, it felt like stepping into the modern world after living centuries in the past. But in truth, the Zephyranthes was older than all of it, older than this entire nation. The why of such a ship's existence was simple: to meet the needs of this protracted interstellar war. But the how of its construction was a question nobody could answer. The Duchy had magic to explain their colonies, but what did the Lilac have? Each individual hull plate beneath her contained more metal than entire ships Gio had lived aboard. The next largest class of ship of the modern era was not even 1/100th of its size. It was an impossible amount of material and labor. If every living soul aboard the ships of the Lilac fleet were put to work to construct a ship like this, not even a skeleton would be complete within their collective lifespan. The equipment and factories needed to construct even the base components were well beyond the nation's capability. The scope of the mining operation needed for the raw material, the economic forces required to fund such a project, none of it was possible. And yet, the proof of such a feat lay right there at the center of the entire nation, of the entire known world. How was it built? And where? And by how many people? As advanced as it felt, the Dragoon Gio piloted might as well be a wooden club compared to whatever weapons were used back then. The pre-format era was beyond imagination. It had all been lost long before Gio, or anyone else alive, was even born. Statistically, the beginning of the war resulted in the deaths of anywhere from 70 to 99% of the known population of humanity. Past a certain point, keeping a record of all the casualties became impossible. Of the 3 known ultra-dreadnought class ships to enter the Duchy system, the Zephyranthes was the only one to survive. Hey Vic, thank you. Hi. Could you put the door back on its hinges? I'd really appreciate if the door wasn't busted down and that you would fix it right away and that the door wasn't broken. Hi. Thanks. I appreciate it. How's your day been? I hope you have been well. Loud construction noises. Thank you. Thank you. And while the Zephyranthes itself had never been breached by the enemy, The same could not be said of its computer systems or the minds of its people. Doing good. Good. I'm well. I'm very well. I had a nice day outside today. I went on a walk. I got a haircut. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty swagtacular, if you ask me. The pitch black era of madness that followed was more violent than any other known age of human history and marked the beginning of the bloody post-format calendar. While they made similar gains, over 2/3 of the Lilac fleet were sunk in just the first assault of the Duchy. In the aftermath, the psychological warfare against the Lilac was waged at a scale beyond imagination. Communication lines were severed at every possible point. Every computer the Lilac had brought with them was infected and compromised, another vector for Duchy subversion. With what the Lilac refused to call magic, the Duchy planned false memories one after the other. Just by affecting a few, the fear of tampered recollections began to infect everyone. The surviving Lilac population collectively lost its grip on reality in an instant. Every leader became an enemy plant, propped up by false memory. Disinformation spread like wildfire. Entire histories popped up overnight, all conflicting with one another, all sourced and verified. The home of the Lilac was either destroyed the moment they arrived in the Duchy system, or centuries ago, or it never existed in the first place. The steel of the fleet became the only remaining truth, and no living being could ever be trusted. Civil war, mass executions, and mutinies all raged inside the Lilac ships, even as they fought against the Duchy. In whatever world, nation, empire, or corporate entity they had originally come from was reduced to nothing more than rumor. In only a short span, the Lilac Duchy War took everything. Munitions, manpower, food, and fuel were all squeezed to the last drop. The two nations had no choice but to grit their teeth and declare a ceasefire before there was nobody left to fight. Much like the ships outside it, the Zephyranthes was never meant to be a host to cities or a civilian populace. But the war needed fresh bodies, government, and an economy to support it. Geo had volunteered herself into the reignition of that war since the era of truces ended, now a slow and meticulous affair of blood drawing, with supply and demand carefully regulated. Would it have been a more merciful fate for it all to have ended back then? The Duchy sank 2 of these impossible ships. If they could have only sunk the 3rd. Flying across the surface like this, Geo wondered what the First War was really like, and how a ship like this could even be destroyed. How entire populations could have their memories altered and kill people they'd known for years. As far as she was told, the Duchy had no idea either. Their society had been sent back to those primitive times they so adored too. And what had happened once could happen again, and that knowledge of destruction was always able to be regained. Shio had always felt like this war's total end was inevitable. It was unsustainable from the very start. Like Ayane had said, they had already lost. From out here, with these senses, it felt like an even more harrowing truth had been laid out before Shio. This ship would never be destroyed, and this pointless war would last forever. Of course, that's where my voice is going to crack. Gio, Susie began to ask over the radio. Susie snapped back to attention. Yes? Could you please slow down a little? I can't keep up. Susie laughed softly. Oh, I'm sorry. Gio pulled back on the control sticks, swinging the engines around to reverse the thrust. Pardon my asking, but you seem a little distracted. Is everything okay? Gio's words caught in her mouth. How is she meant to talk to her now? I am sorry, it's just been a busy day. Choosing her words carefully, Gio added, I had a big lunch with Ayane, so I'm a little tired. Her answer seemed to perk Susie up right away. Oh, I see. Gio's heart ached. Didn't feel right to treat Susie so distantly. How have classes been? They're going okay, I think. It's mostly just been lectures. I haven't really been tested on anything, so I'm not really sure how I'm doing yet. In your case, you're probably finding a lot of those to be things that are already common knowledge. Convenient as it might be, separating classes by those who grew up in gravity and those who didn't would, well, cause a lot of problems. Oh, yeah. I don't think I'd like that. How's your head feeling? Susie asked. It's been okay today. Things feel a lot calmer, I think. I don't think I was able to really take it in the first time, but seeing things out here is a little surreal. I never even flew a ship like this. I never even flew a ship before this. I mean, I have more spacewalk hours than I can count, but it doesn't feel anything close. I guess I've just never seen the fleet like this before. You know, I'm told as a lieutenant that when a pilot under my command says something like that, I meant to encourage it. Talk about the feeling of freedom, power, exhilaration. Make the pilot feel special. Remind them that they're a one among thousands and only they can do this, feel this, and see this. I don't bother at all with it. Midorikawa is far too cynical to want to hear any of it. And for me? Gio asked. You're someone completely impossible to lie to. You can see through anything. You're kind of a commanding officer's worst nightmare, Susie laughed. Unfortunately, I'm something of the same type. Susie paused for a moment. I'm sorry about Hill. I should have known she'd react like that to my reports. Oh, it's okay. I was worried it would only demoralize you if I said I was concerned about you. Gio grimaced. Well, you weren't wrong about that. Susie fell silent for a moment. This is already saying too much, but I guess you just arrived at a bad time. I really don't have a choice but to report my concerns on the squadron. And I can't try and address them myself either. Concerns regarding mental well-being are being delegated to the medical corps. Officers are to only observe and report. I didn't want to go behind your back, but my hands are tied. So, all I can say is that I'm sorry. Things aren't normally so tense, but like I said, you arrived at a bad time. Gio wanted to ask for more information, but it felt like spitting on what was obviously difficult for Susie to say. Something about the base felt off. She knew that much, but she didn't want to pick at it. You don't need to say sorry. It's okay, Gio said slowly. If Susie had reported that she thought Gio was unwell, she wasn't exactly off the mark. Gio curled her lips into a forced smile. I'll go to medical soon. I don't want you to get in trouble either. I appreciate hearing it. All right. The sector has been reported as clear, but as always, stay alert, Susie said. Maneuver as you like and take mental notes of what needs tuning. Roger. There's nothing specific we need to test today. You're just building flight time. Stay within radio contact range and keep an eye out for danger. Report to me first if you wish to test your weapons. Gio couldn't help being a little embarrassed. Feels kind of unfair that you have to come out here and watch me for just that. Don't worry. It's important to do this now when things are quiet. I'll just be catching up on reading reports. The GI really helps with multitasking. Susie smiled. You should pick a book to read when we're on patrol duty. It helps pass the time. Oh, yeah. Yanni told me something like that. Just as Susie asked, Gio darted between the derelict ships and the outskirts of the debris field. For a machine that imparted a mastery over in just a second, it was difficult to figure out what specifically she was meant to do to feel comfortable piloting it. Her score was high enough she could be sent out into battle right away. The only problem was her nervous personality, and even then, the Dragoon kept her calm while she was actually inside of it. But as she flew about the debris field in silence, a change had already begun to take place inside of her and how she related to this machine. Her body tickled with the sense of her Dragoon's anti-rain field impacting the thin clouds of metallic detritus in her path. It felt so strange to only now be aware of the most important part of the entire machine. These little pieces of fast-moving metal were the source of almost every scar in her body, and now they were as dust. Without this field, both her and this machine would be torn apart. She already knew it was there, but she had never been able to feel its presence or given it any more thought other than knowing she was protected by it. Expanding her senses outward, the anti-rain was like a muscle and nervous system unto itself. Gio could flex it forward, around herself, or focus it into a single point. Low-scoring pilots couldn't sense or manipulate the field with any deliberate intent. Even for Gio, it slipped out of her awareness with only a bit of distraction. That pilot she saw killed in front of her probably couldn't feel it at all. Of all the people in the world, why give this gift to Gio? Slowing to a stop, Gio raised her Dragoon's arms, running her mechanical fingers across the other hand's palm. Her touch was light enough to not leave a scratch. How many hours of practice would an ordinary person need for that? As she focused, she could feel the mechanical skin connect and the anti-rain field pinched between the Coquette's hands. 3 sets of senses, her own, her Dragoon's, and the anti-rain. She held up her Dragoon's hand, observing its movements as she bent the fingers forward and back. If she was learning this all from scratch, this should have been the first thing she did. Before her first flight, she half expected it to feel like puppeteering or even replacing her own movements with those of the machine. But behind those fantasies, she'd known the real thing was beyond her frame of reference, beyond her comprehension, and the reality was exactly that. It felt just as natural as moving her own body, and yet it was entirely separate, outside of herself. If a single mind could inhabit multiple bodies simultaneously, feeling all of them at once with no friction, this is how it might feel, she supposed. Her flesh, this entire machine, and the invisible field around it. Her mind was now a liquid state. It was so inhuman, so alienating, it made her skin crawl to think about when she was alone. But as she sat here, performing the act itself, it felt as natural as anything. This machine made it feel natural. Her unease was only felt logically, without emotion. No emotion. Gio lingered on these words. Running her Dragoon's finger along its arm, a violent curiosity flickered to life inside of her. She would be fighting Dragoons in close quarters with these hands. She could tear apart a ship with just these hands. She wouldn't be scared to do it either. Just what could she do with these? She wanted to know. She was out here, so she could learn, after all. She adjusted her visual sensors, scanning her surroundings for a suitable object. It was a fighter, and for the most part, intact. It had to be decades old. The shape wasn't recognizable as belonging to either the Duchy or the Lilac. The paint had been burnt off, with no identifying markings left. The seal in the cockpit was broken, with nothing inside. It was most likely destroyed alongside its carrier without having even launched. She would have to fight and destroy machines just like this. It was a perfect test subject. What could these hands do to it? If she grabbed her enemy like this, could she... The fighter crumpled between her hands in an instant. It was so easy. Easier than she was anticipating. She'd only meant to give it a slight squeeze and work her way up. They wouldn't give her a gun, but they let her fly her Dragoon out here loaded with live anti-ship ammunition because it didn't make a difference. This entire body was a weapon. These hands were more than enough to kill a person. These hands alone could protect her. These hands. Who did she want to kill with these hands? I have the same dreams over and over. He's always older and I'm always younger. I'm always young and I can never grow up. He's coming closer to me, looming over me, grabbing my shoulders with his hands. I hit him and hit him and hit him, but it doesn't make a difference. He doesn't even flinch. I can't hurt him at all. And he can hurt me. And as he pushes me down, I cry out for him to stop. I push him back and he continues forward. He's smiling and laughing at me as I try and hit him. It's funny to him how weak and pathetic I am, and for all the attempts I make at hurting him, he's going to repay me in kind. But now I have this body that takes away my fear. Are these hands different? Are these hands stronger than a child's? Are these hands finally enough to really hurt you? I'm the one looking down at you now. You know what you deserve, don't you? You think you always knew. I think you always knew. I think you were always scared of it. You can't see my face, but I'm smiling. I can tear through metal and you're just pitiful flesh. Adult and child, weak or strong. Those divisions mean nothing now. I'm not afraid anymore. And you will never hurt me again. Gio kicked and screamed, gasping for breath. Where was she? Everything was pitch black, her body tangled up in something. She covered her mouth, shivering and still holding still. Did anyone hear her? I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me. Please. I'll be quiet. I promise. I promise. She dug her hands into her face. Vomit rose up into her throat. He was there, in her dreams, and she hurt him. He knows that I'm spiteful, disobedient. He knows, and now he's going to hurt me. He doesn't believe me when I make promises. He never did. Her body shivered. The room was pitch black. She couldn't get her bearings at all. Where was her last memory? How long had she been in here? Where am I? Why is there gravity? Why did he lock me in here? Gio sat there, trembling, dreading whatever fate awaited her. If she went to check the door, check for a way out, it might make her punishment worse. Emetophobia warning coming up, by the way. She practiced her apologies in her head over and over, but eventually she realized there was nothing coming. The room was silent. All she could hear was her own panting breath. This was her room. It was all delusion. This was her room, aboard the Zephyranthes, and she was an adult. She curled around herself, hands tugging at her hair as she burned with shame. She was sick. She was so sick. She'd never grown up. She still felt as scared as she did as a child. She still wet the bed like a child. She still begged for forgiveness like a child. Gio let out a long exhale, slowly opening her eyes. She was safe in her room. Deep breaths. He wasn't waiting outside. It's been over a decade. She'd never see him again. She'd never live in that home again, in that room again. Deep breaths. She dragged herself to the edge of the bed. She couldn't go back to sleep before showering and getting changed. It was so difficult to move. Was she drugged? She shot that thought down, angry at herself. Her thoughts always leapt to the most horrifying things before she could even realize what she was doing. He never drugged her or locked her up. She was a kid. He never had to do any of those things. She was just a kid. Gio rubbed her face. Tears welled up between her eyelids. Just a kid. How could someone do that? How could anyone? She curled into herself, sobbing. Stop it. Stop thinking about it. But how am I meant to? Even if I try, I still dream about it. Her dreams. A mess of violent images flickered to life. What were those dreams? She was flying, wasn't she? That wasn't a dream. She was flying, and she landed, debriefed, had her best attempt at dinner, and went to bed. She knew this, but had no solid memory of it. She was flying, and she saw. She could feel the way his bones snapped and popped between those fingers, the organs sliding out of the loose bag of skin. Her stomach turned over, forcing her to her feet as she scrambled to the bathroom. She had almost reached the sink, but covering her mouth wasn't enough to keep it down. Her body convulsed as it squeezed out liquid through the gaps in her fingers. Sticky acid ran down her chest, her hands still clamped over her mouth. Staggering forward, she doubled over with coughing retches, vomit splattering onto the bathroom floor. Reaching the sink, she grabbed onto the edge to support herself. What little she was able to eat had all come up again. She continued retching even while nothing came up. Her throat burned. Eventually, her body gave in to her demands to stop. As she gasped for air, she could only hang her head in shock. What was happening to her? She had completely lost it this time. What was that machine doing to her? Tears ran down her face. Everything hurt. Her thoughts of punishment were coming back to her. She had to have made a lot of noise just now. He'd hurt her for making a mess the way she'd just done just now. She wanted to kill him. She wanted to watch him scream and beg for mercy. Her body shook as she grabbed herself. She couldn't do anything she did in that dream. She didn't want to do anything she did in that dream. Not to him, not to anyone. She just wanted to be safe. Her body began to feel weak. She could feel the vomit soaking into her pajamas. The smell made her want to start all over again. Her mouth formed the words to call for Fufi, but she wouldn't come even if she screamed it. Fufi could never watch Gio be hurt. She knew what was going to happen to Gio after she enlisted, that she'd spend nights waking up like this. But all this time, Gio had brushed it aside. There was nobody coming to help her now. She couldn't go back to bed soaked in her own piss, sweat, and vomit. She had to clean everything up herself. Gio raised her head, looking into her reflection. Why didn't she just take that orange pill like she was told? Falls over unconscious. Gio sat on the shower floor with her legs curled to her chest. Her body was sore all over. Her legs ached from kneeling on the tiles to clean. Her habit of sitting rather than standing in the shower was not about to change now. Her foot slipping just a little as she got in was enough to make her panic. The image of her own blood splattered on the tiles was stuck in her mind. Gravity was so scary. Everything in this world was so scary. You could die doing just about anything. She clutched herself tight. Everyone was so scary. Everything was so scary. She rubbed her shoulders, imagining someone else's arms embracing her. At times like this, she thought about her mother. As cliché as it was, she knew nothing about her. She didn't know her name, her face, or how she'd treat her. But still, she wished for her. With nothing to go by and nothing to challenge it, her image was perfect. Someone to hold her close, wrap a blanket around her, coo in her ear that everything was going to be okay. Someone to clean her up when she had these accidents and nightmares. Someone who could tell her there was nothing to be afraid of and lull her back to sleep. Someone she could bury her face in and cry out all her emotions to. She splashed water on her face. No one was coming to help her. A jolt of shame broke her out of her thoughts. She was wasting water, sitting here like this still. What did it matter now? She half laughed to herself as she turned off the tap. Water didn't cost a thing anymore. This... My head is concave right now. My yeah, I'm owned. Oh fuck, my back and bones and my every part of my body. Ow. Sorry, I'm like, I just realized how whack my posture was. And I am currently in the process of unwhacking my posture. It's good. It's meaty. It's so... I was about to start beating my chest like a gorilla, but I would have just been punching my fucking microphone over and over again. Assailing my microphone with my attacks repeatedly. I'm trying to think if I should do any more. I might do just like... I'm just like looking at my time real quick. I might go through just like a little bit more. I'm not sure if I'll like do like a whole scene question mark, but just like a little more. Oh fuck, my bones. Actually, wait, hold on. You know what I'll do is I'll be right back. I'm thirsty and I don't have liquids or nutrients. So I'm gonna go get some nutrients real quick. Salute soldiers. Let us stay here and look at Bailey while we ruminate for a little bit here. Gotta stretch out my legs and walk around a little bit, you know? I gotta walk around. thought I saw my cat walking in my room, and I thought that there was going to be a cat jump scare type moment, but that was not the case. The cat's situation was most certainly not frightening. It was a grounded cat type situation. Cat flashbang. Gets scared immediately. What would you do if big beautiful woman, big breast beautiful woman came up to you and said to give her $500? What would you do if big booby beautiful woman $500 from you? What the fuck? What the fuck happened? Huh? Excellent. Hey, can unrelated? Could someone give me $500 right now? Can I please have $500? Could you give me? Oh, I'm sorry. Feeling the effects of deep dehydration? Question mark. Help. Help me. We're a Lethal Company in 40 minutes by light. Hell yeah. Oh, you know what? That gives, I think that's great actually, because that gives me a time frame to work with. So I think I'll go until that starts, and then I can raid out, and then I can pop right in there. I'm very excited. And again, thank you so much for inviting me along. I'm very excited. Okay. I have water in me now. I got water in front of me, and I'm good to go now. I'm good to say some more words real quick. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Shagadelic, baby. Oh, behave. I've never seen a single Austin Powers movie. I've never seen Austin Powers. I'm a faker. I apologize. I'm a fake Austin Powers fan. Austin Powers facts about Jillian that make you go, That's also not Austin Powers. That's Tim the Tool Man. I've also not seen Home Improvement. I'm a fake Tim the Tool Man fan. Home Improvement facts about Jillian that make you go, I need to shut the fuck up, and I need to start reading. She awoke again with a dull pounding in her head. Waking up and vomiting like that just felt like another part of her nightmares. At least she had fallen back to sleep afterwards. She curled up around her pillow. If she could pretend it was all a dream, it would be easier. The world outside this room felt terrifying, and yet she had no choice but to leave. She had never voluntarily taken a sick day in her life. So long as she can move, she would always drag herself to work. No matter how bad she felt or how scared she was of going, she would force herself each and every time. And today was the same. She would be up and out the door in time for assembly. She groaned to herself. What a worthless sense of dedication. She ate on my cocktail Dragoon. She she coke on my it. She it on my. Hi, Jean. Thank you for dropping by. I hope you are doing well, my oomphy. Coquette's like pretty good or something. It's like pretty good. It's like pretty good. It's a pretty good game. I think everybody here should. Hold on, I'm gonna do a little plug real quick. I think everyone here, if you like this game, you should go to this link and you should buy Coquette Dragoon and you should play it for yourself and you can give IB money. You should do it. It's a pretty good game. I like it quite a lot. Gio stood with eyes glazed over as the hold on, I'm looking the wrong way. Looking you directly in the eyes as I read out this line. Gio stood with eyes glazed over as the assembly played out. Her head felt like it was filled with glass, but even in her hazy state, she could tell something was clearly different today. An unfamiliar man stood on stage behind the speaker going over the morning news, his chest gleaming with ribbons and medals. Give Ivy every dollar in your bank account. You should give Ivy at least $500. You should do this. An unfamiliar man stood on stage behind the speaker going over the morning news, his chest gleaming with ribbons and medals. Gio was certain she recognized him from television. He had to be a commodore or even an admiral of the fleet. She'd never seen someone of such high ranking standing here before. There was none of the usual snickering and whispering between the student soldiers around her. A row of grim-looking military police stood guard behind the officers on stage, watching the crowd for any signs of disobedience. When it was time for the ornamented flag officer to speak, his voice boomed through the hall in a slow, disdainful drawl. You are probably surprised to see my face in this little base of yours. You see, I've been made aware of certain errors of the commanding officers you are serving under, and I would like to correct them. On the matter of Ensign Claire Grazi, there will be no services held by the military. There is no reward for desertion. While the Special Division have been utterly limp in the matter, the Admiral or Commodore or whatever spat, I've stepped in to say that you are returning to business as usual starting today. That will be all. Some hushed gasps and murmurs ran through the ranks of the soldiers. Gio didn't understand what any of it was about. That name was a stranger to her. What errors was he talking about? Off to the side of the stage, Lieutenant Hill stood beside Commander Clemens with gritted teeth. Gio shuffled alongside the crowd flowing into the cafeteria. All members of the base had been called today for assembly, and now everyone stood together waiting for their breakfast. Ayane, of course, was nowhere to be seen. Even after that unnerving assembly, the pilots still gathered around like it was a social event. The noise and movement was all unbearable to Gio. She shrunk among the crowd, trying to avoid being noticed or spoken to by anyone. Gazing at the other soldiers and staff around her, shame clawed at her chest. Nobody was looking at her, but it felt like everyone had seen her state last night. Oh, hello. Hello, Ophioka. I hope that I'm saying that right. If I'm not, you can feel free to correct me. I hope you're doing well today. Well, welcome in. Ayane had described the division as full of problem children, but Gio felt like the lowliest of them all. She shivered at the thought she still smelled like piss, sweat, or vomit. It always felt like she was putting on some disgusting display. Surrounded by their voices, she felt scared of these people. She was scared because they were soldiers, but more than anything, scared of how well adjusted they all seemed to this. It's like, I'm here from Rockfront, and it kind of sucks in the best way. Oh my gosh, Rockfront! Shouts to Rockfront. That place sucks. Hell yeah! Now I got Signalis on the line. I gotta. Oh, I've been working on well. I don't know if I can say working on yet. It's like conceptualization, but I am a part of a cute little Signalis scene that is in the works right now, and I am going to be very excited for that zine's completion. I'm very, very, very excited for that. Pull my tarot deck and show it us. My heart rate calmed. Oh gosh. Salute. Oh, did you like did you go through like all of Signalis? Did you experience it to every last drop? Oh, Signalis. That game's so good. That game's so good. That game, it's one of those games that have me like, man, I gotta make good games. I gotta make more games. No, I have one more before for. Oh, okay. Excellent. Oh yes. Claps my hands together. Yes. Excellent. How many of them woke up like that after piloting? She couldn't see that in anyone here. Nobody else was standing frozen and wide-eyed like her. None of these people seemed like they needed to be told they had to eat. Gio knew how Ayane felt here. Her bitter half-jokes were easy to see through. But Ayane had already been surviving it all alone, without anyone's help. Ayane was younger than her, but she took on the role of the older sister anyway. Gio needed Ayane to show her around and hold her hand through everything. Ayane had already substituted Fufi's role in soothing Gio. It hadn't even been a day, and she missed her already. I really love hair down Gio, by the way. I went to brush her hair for her. She rubbed her head, angry at herself. She had to stop getting caught in these loops of self-disgust. Gio stared into her plate of eggs and sliced bacon. It was more than she could probably eat, but she just took the first edible enough looking thing she saw without thinking. Whether she could or not, she had to eat it, or she'd be in even worse trouble. That motivation wasn't helpful at all. What Fufi would say, Gio felt, was that she should be eating now to make up for vomiting earlier. It would be good for her. Gio nodded to herself slightly, gripping the foreign feeling cutlery. I hate the feeling of negative appetite. Yeah. No, yeah, I've definitely been there. It's like, I gotta have food in me right now. But so I'm having some sort of chemical imbalance. But eating would make me feel better. But the balance is off. My my pH balance. Gio nodded to herself slightly, gripping the foreign feeling cutlery. What Ayane would say was that it was a little funny she could pilot a Dragoon, but still had trouble with a knife and fork. That thought felt a lot more comforting. Breaking her concentration on getting through the last piece of bacon, Gio's ears twitched at the conversation playing out behind her. That miserable cunt of an admiral. How dare he say that? A shrill-sounding pilot snipped, slamming a tray down on the table. What? We are in a tiny base. We aren't exactly swinging big dicks here. No, you twat. I meant Claire. Oh, I mean, I don't like him either, but I don't think he's wrong. She shouldn't have been a pilot, her friend replied dully. Just because you can doesn't mean you just because you can doesn't mean you should, you know. I don't think I agree with this scoring system. She obviously wasn't cut out for the job. Doing low voice is always funny because you can tell that like my voice range is not there. My voice cracks all the time trying to do that. How can you even say that? You're always such a pig. I'm a horse, thank you very much, the dull pilot retorted. And I'm only being realistic. A third voice interjected. Wait, what are you talking about? I don't get any of this. I just heard about her. How is she both dead and a deserter? I heard about her last week, but I heard she just died in an accident. Another voice added. What, she just accidentally shot herself sitting in the shower recess? Fucking hell, I never heard that part. Is that really desertion? It is to them. Makes being a pilot look pretty bad. You'd end up with a smack across the face if you talked about it. Not like it's a secret anymore, though. A sneering voice cut in. At least you did in the shower. Easy to clean up, eh? Don't even joke about it. You know whoever had to clean it up is probably having breakfast with us somewhere. What? Am I meant to feel bad for the janitor? Just turn the tap on. Whoosh. It all goes down the drain. I've had to hose out a cockpit before, you know. They make pilots do that? Only if you get caught doing something naughty. The cruel sounding pilot laughed. Can we talk about something less fucking morbid, please? I am trying to eat here. Need some tomato sauce? God, go fuck yourself. You really ought to loosen up. Gio dropped her cutlery onto her plate. Everything she had just eaten felt like it was about to come right back up. Everything fit together now. It had been right in front of her the whole time. Claire Grossi. The empty holster. The piles of boxes. The shower recess. A recent death. An empty room. Bad taste. This was why Susie reported her to Hill, and why Hill spoke to her that way. Why she couldn't have a gun. Why nobody could have a gun. Gio left the cafeteria as quickly as she could. How could those people laugh about this? How could everyone just sit down for breakfast like nothing happened? She had to get away from those people, away from those sneering voices. There was something she had to check, too. In the hall outside, an all too familiar face stood waiting by the coffee machines. The timing felt like a bad joke. It only took a moment for him to lock eyes, and the girl met Gio's distraught expression with a smile. What you said about my room? It was Claire's, wasn't it? Gio stammered. Instead of asking me, why don't you go and see for yourself? Gio flung herself into the bathroom. See for yourself. See what? Those pilots behind her said it was in the shower recess. She'd been here every morning, hadn't she? It couldn't have been. This blew my cock off, by the way. This blew my cock off. It had been there the whole time. A cracked tile with a round hole, crudely patched over with cement. How did she never notice it before? Everything was so obvious. Why guns were off limits for soldiers, why this room was left the way it was, and why everyone was so cagey about it. Of course no one wanted to come in here or touch anything. She was better off not knowing, so nobody told her. She already knew you had to get your papers in order before you left for any kind of mission. That girl couldn't have died in the field. Shima said it herself. Test pilots don't die. So what was Gio imagining? That she simply fell over a railing somewhere? How could she have thought so little about it? She knew from the start the room's occupant had died. Gio slowly leaned closer to the wall. How had she never noticed this? Yes, this is... Yep. Yeah, that's her. That's her right there. That hole right there. Yep. Yep. It never even registered to her. She probably had seen the hole and assumed it was just an old fixture that ran through it and never gave it a second thought. She never lived anywhere that was clean or in good repair. Of course, there would be a few cracked tiles. That happens anywhere. Anywhere but here! She clutched her hands to her face, breathing heavily. This place was meant to be her escape. She had known there would be problems, but not like this. A girl killed herself, and they get up on stage and call her a deserter, a traitor, and her comrades laugh about her in her absence. And Susie thought she was going to be next. And evidently, so did Hill. Was it that fucking obvious just how miserable of a person I am? I haven't even been here a month, and... Despite everything, you still have to go to school. This... Yay! Yippee! Yeah, I definitely knew for like a good minute. And then the like having like the proof of like the dink in the shower was like, and the fact that it really was just like there the whole time was like, oh shit. But yeah, it's yeah. Poor baby Gio. Poor baby Gio. I think she needs like she needs like a smoothie, you know? Like I think we as a collective should make her like a nice, how much it would have to be like a mild smoothie, like not like not like an overwhelming sort of flavor. Oh shit. Who let her go to war school? Yay! Ensign Meng, the instructor, read off her clipboard. Present. She ticked off a box with an exaggerated motion. Ensign Matthews. Here. Ensign Midorikawa, the instructor called out. Midorikawa? She repeated. The instructor sighed as she scanned the room before pointing to Gio. You there, rabbit ears. Ensign Rosales. Where is your squad mate? Gio almost yelped. I don't know. I haven't seen her all day. The instructor clicked her tongue. You're on duty today, then. Meaning your responsibilities falls to every member of a squadron as a whole. Go and get the lesson supplies, would you? Gio hung her head. Yes, ma'am. And when you get the chance, do talk some sense into that brainless squad mate of yours. Yes, ma'am. Gio wheeled a flat trolley through the schoolyard, following the signs to the equipment storage. Where was Ayane? Why couldn't she be here, especially today? Gio clenched her hands. Why didn't she just skip class too? Why did she always do this to herself? It was always like this. The smaller she felt, the stronger her fear of punishment became. And here she was, doing the right thing and being punished anyway. This whole thing was punishment. They gave her that room to punish her. There was no way it was the only one available. Special Division itself was a punishment. This irregular squadron without even a name was a punishment. Having her meals monitored was a punishment. That girl Claire must have been put through the same thing. They didn't want her, and they punished her until she broke. It was the fastest way to get rid of her. And they were going to get rid of Gio the same way. Even if she wasn't transgender, treating like a dead girl, walking, actively trying to contribute, but it's so transgender for... You can't see it, but I'm doing a salute in real life. Salute, soldier. I think she was having a roughing of it. I'm gonna take her, like, I don't know, I want to take her like plushie shopping or something. Get like a new bud, you know? Like sometimes you just gotta add, you gotta like add to the pile. You gotta get more buds. Gio slapped herself across the face. She was being delusional, but it didn't make sense. Her score was incredibly high, even higher than her own commanding officers. She was more than qualified for the job. So why were they treating her this way? Wasn't it enough for her to be talented? Gio shuddered with sudden realization as she looked around. Had she really just hit herself out in the open like this? Did anyone see that? She stared up and down the path. There was nobody around. The thought didn't help, though. Gio pressed the door to the storeroom closed with her back, sealing herself in. She let out a small sigh. She was alone here. She was sure of that. Gio unfurled the scribbled note the instructor had pressed into her hands on what she needed to pick up. Today the lesson was on emergency suit repair, something Gio was already more than certified in. It's like, I bet they can tell she's being a hawk like everyone else, and that's why they're going to push out papers and fully comply. Nods. I could see that sort of angle. Oh my god, my fucking back. I'm so sorry that I keep complaining about my back. I need to be put on like those medieval stretcher machines. I need to yeah, I gotta be cranked on that wheel to like the point like right before I get like split in twain. Like I gotta be pulled until I get that, you know, but not the drawn in. I don't want to be drawn and quartered. No. Oh, thank you, Gino. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Gino. I appreciate it. Sorry, I started thinking about people are like, you are going to be put on the wheel. I am sending you to the wheel. Today the lesson was on emergency suit repair, something Gio was already more than certified in. A cursory glance over the room revealed the supplies were organized into plastic tubs marked by class name. Mods, put her in the machine. Mods, put this. Seize her and put her in the machine. Mods, feed her to the lions. I'm gonna start saying shit like that. Like, mods, throw that guy in the machine for like 5 minutes. Mods, put that guy in the wheel for like 15 minutes. Spin that guy in the pottery wheel for like for a day. Protect, stabilize their persona. Maybe I should do my like survival playthrough on stream sometime. I haven't done my survival mode playthrough yet. I want to do like one where I don't use guns at all. I want to try that. Sorry, I'm getting so sidetracked. Well, that's good, Gio murmured to herself, but it didn't look like there was any kind of sorting system. No, you're good. I've always been Signalis brained. Signalis is in there. You can't see it, but I'm tapping my head. Signalis is in there. Gio stood on tiptoes, curiously looking into the tubs on the shelves. There were props of all kinds, from grenades to signal devices, but it was obvious after a few moments of examination that anything you couldn't kill someone with was the real thing. She never liked the unpredictability of salvage work, but her brief experience with it told her this dusty room was a veritable treasure trove. Brand new power tools, first aid equipment, coolant, entire spacesuits, transmitters, computers, batteries. All ripe for the taking and marked for your convenience in a room without even a lock on the door. Crouching to the lower shelves, she found the boxes she was looking for, filled to the brim with suit material and repair equipment of all kinds. The contents of even one of these plastic tubs alone had to be worth thousands of dollars, and they were just tossed in so haphazardly to be wheeled out without supervision by someone like her. Thousands of dollar dues. Thousands. Excess was everywhere around her here. Jill pulled a tub out, wincing as it landed with a thud on the trolley. It was hard to gauge how heavy things were in gravity. After doing the same with the rest, she brushed her hands on her shorts as if to congratulate herself on a job well done. But upon remembering she'd have to haul it all back to that classroom and present herself to that instructor once again, her satisfaction quickly deflated. She wished she could just do jobs like this forever, far away from other people. Boring tasks like this calmed her. Go here, get this, take this here, take this there. She liked errands. She always wished she could work in something like a library, or even just being a courier. No, yeah, that's real as hell. As someone who worked in like retail in the past, like I very much enjoyed doing like the stuff that wasn't like to do with like customers, you know, like just going around and like doing things like organization or moving things around. Like it's like, oh sweet, I can just like go around and do my little tasks like I'm in Among Us. It's so real. But instead, she was an elite pilot being forced to relive middle school. Ayane wasn't here, and she'd have to sit through a lesson she didn't need on things she already knew, all the while surrounded by those cruel students being watched by that cruel teacher. Shio crouched down, tucking herself into a crevice between the wall and a shelf. How did things get so awful all of a sudden? Wasn't yesterday a nice day? Not even 24 hours ago, she was smiling beside Ayane. Yesterday, she had no idea that girl's blood, bone, and cranial fluid had run down her shower drain. Why was it so different? She saw that pilot get skewered by a rifle shot right in front of her while they were trying to save her life. But Gio survived anyway, and that pilot died for nothing. It haunted her, but those things happen all the time. She'd already witnessed plenty of pointless wartime deaths. It was a given the enemy would try and kill her at any opportunity. That girl Claire died by her own hand, forced by what this place had done to her. Shio would spend every morning staring at a mark that told her just how much suffering could be inflicted upon her by those she was meant to regard as her allies. The ship was meant to be a respite from the battlefield. This place was meant to make surviving this war worth it. If there was no escape from it, what was it all for then? It never even crossed Gio's mind what happened to her room's prior occupant. She only knew the occupant was dead, and nothing further. How much trauma can we put in one Banui girl? She is truly the girl that is being put into many a situation and continues to be put into situations. Whether they died in her room or not, whoever had left that room for her was sleeping in that bed until just recently. Just like Ryamu. I love Ryamu! I can't talk about Ryamu. I gotta be normal. The other day The other day, I had a friend calling Ryamu a Coomer character, and I was like, no, I will not stand for that. I will absolutely not stand for that. You cannot call. You can. Your perception of Ryamu is like that of somebody who only knows of anything about Tsukihime or Melty Blood through Neko Arc and doesn't know anything about doesn't she's like Mr. B. That's strong. That's fucking strong. Oh. But I was getting emotional. So like I cannot stand for that. Also, there are some people that you know, there are many reasons that people like Ryamu, and one of the many reasons I like Ryamu because she's a little, and also she's a genuine fail girl. People call Marcel a fail girl, and they're so wrong. They're so wrong. She's so competent. She's just funny. She's just funny, and you can tease her, and she's silly. Yeah, like. She's just silly. People don't know what a fail girl is anymore. Yeah, she's pathetic, but not exactly. Exactly, you get it. So if Chainsaw Man getting an anime and bringing in the kind of wave of like how people talk about it, if that was plane one, Dungeon Meshi anime and that happening in the same way was plane number 2. It's been catastrophic to me. We're losing the pervert angle of Dungeon Meshi, and it's so tragic. What a horrible world we're living in. I went on a total fucking tangent, and I'm like almost at a sort of checkpoint here. I gotta get Mr. Bean. Fuck. She could probably smell Claire, and she never even thought about it. She was sleeping on the same mattress Gio was using each night. If she looked, would she find her hair, dead skin, blood? Gio could only imagine how unhappy she had been. Gio curled her knees to her chest. She wanted to get out of this place. She missed Ayane. She missed her old friends. She missed how things felt just yesterday. She fished her phone out of her pocket and flipped it open, hoping to see a message from Ayane. Her inbox remained as empty as when she bought it. She pressed through the menu pages, staring at Ayane's name and her contacts. Her cursor hovered over the new message button. What would she say to her? What could she say? It was so easy to just say how she was feeling to her old friends. When things felt as bad as this, she always messaged them. Staring at the empty screen, she thought of what Ayane had said to her, that she wanted to hear her complaints. Wasn't it okay to message her? Gio's grip tightened around the phone. But wasn't this just too much to share? I'm thinking about your and I can't, it's actually people I know. Not people I can share with. I can talk about if it's perfect. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad you like that piece. I had so much fun making that piece, and I felt I was so satisfied with like how that came out. I was going on like, sorry, my train of thought like completely died. But thank you so much. I want to draw her more. I'm like I like for the longest time I've had like trouble drawing her until like that piece. Sorry, things. That makes me so happy to hear. I'm so glad you like it. I like, as I like to say, I make art for like, I'm a woman of the niche. I will make art that will appeal to like 5 people. Gio's grip tightened around the phone. But wasn't this just too much to share? This was heavy as death. Gio clapped the phone closed. This wasn't the time to think about it. She stood up and grabbed the cart's handle. She was probably already in trouble for how long she'd taken. And I made her take longer because I went on several different it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault, by the way. I'm yapping. I'm chattering. I'm yammering. However, I do think this will be the point of which that I am going to call it for now. What was I saying? I was saying something. Yeah, I've got that brain fog now, but you know, I got some things planned. By some things planned, I mean Oh, I forgot that I had this little funny Jillian in the corner that Juno drew. Hold on, wait. I wanna real quick. I'm gonna find. Yes, please play Coquette. I'm gonna plug the link for the game in chat again, because again, I think no, I don't want to open up whatever the hell I just opened up. I think everybody should give Ivy $100,000 million. Also, if you want that funny little fan game I was messing with at the start of the screen, start of the, yeah, you get the idea. Here's this. You can just play with gooey, funny Belle Flan. Hold on, before I call it, I do need to whip out another one of these. We are under fucking attack. Yes. Sam, as am I. I'm very excited for the next update. I was saying this earlier, but the next update is going to be the last of Volume 1, and I'm so fucking excited. It's like, oh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. She's so jiggles, right? Yeah, anyways, speaking of Gino, I am going to be rating Gino. But if you guys miss me, well, I got some good news for you guys. I got some great news for you guys. You wanna know? You wanna know what that news is? I'm gonna be there as well. I'm gonna be playing some Lethal Company. Hee funny, silly. Getting turned into a Mario plush is getting turned into a Mario plushie is out. Getting turned into a wobbly dessert is in. Yes, that's what I'm fucking talking about. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm fucking about. Anyways, I have yammered on for long enough. I will now be rating Gino again. Thank you all so much for coming along and watching me read along to this game that I have. Like, full disclosure, I've already read everything that there is. I really very much enjoy rereading this. I love rereading things I like, and I like being able to show off how much this game rules. Yeah. So, bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Kisses you all on the forehead. Bye-bye.